Hi everybody, Dione here again for another quick update on the chemo in a van and how it's going. And I wish I had done this when I was feeling really terrible, but I just couldn't. I really wish I had though. We've made it to Shropshire, yay! So we're at a beautiful campsite. I don't know if you can see back there, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's called Southview. There are 9 pitches here. Looks like 7 of them have um, caravans on them, seasonal pitches. So but it's really quiet. There's like nobody here. We've had a couple of caravans, people coming in last weekend, over the weekend, and they stayed for a few days. And they have a pod here, and the pod was busy last week with people coming in and staying in the little pod. The toilets are great. You do have to pay 20p per minute for the hot water, but we're paying this is a very cheap campsite. So and we have booked in for a month, so it's been absolutely great. It's a perfect little size for us. We are now finding we do like the smaller campsites and the private campsites, because of course you don't have all the weird rules that you get on the other campsites. Not that we would break any of those, we wouldn't, but it's just knowing that, like, oh my God, you've got to be aware of this stuff, because you don't want to inadvertently, break a rule. And I mean, I remember we were on a CAMC campsite, and I went in when the toilets were closed. Big signs, toilets closed, but when you got to go, you got to go. And of course that was after my initial chemo. So I walked up, and the girl seemed to be rather annoyed at me because I came when they're closed for an hour, and she did open up the disabled for me so that I could go into the disabled toilets. But it's just like, it's just weird, whereas here you can just sort of watch and see, is there anybody cleaning? There is only one shower and toilet for male and female. So again, nobody's here at the moment, and there have been no females. There's been a few males here. So Chris looks out the window and watches to see if when he needs a shower, if anybody's headed that way. But yeah, overall, just really, really lovely. So pretty up here. Very wet and windy, and everybody's getting that all across the UK. So the grass here is very pretty, but it is very muddy. But we're parked on the shingle, the big rocks. They have those all around, so you don't have to be on the grass. But I didn't know that when I was hooking in my electric, because that's when you have to go on the grass. And I got pretty muddy. Anyway, on to today's events. It is, what day is it today? Today is Monday, the 8th of April, and my next chemo appointment is a week tomorrow. And I'll be, again, just going for the chemo jab. I have had, it was very, very strange. When I went for my chemo 2 weeks ago, my breast, it has been operated on. They just took, it was a lumpectomy. So they took the lump out. They didn't find any cancer, which was great. So the chemo did what it was supposed to do. But I didn't realize it. Well, of course I realized they took out 2 lymph nodes, and they also, the radiotherapy affects your lymph system. So my right breast was just filling up with liquid, and it was starting to become a bit painful, and I was starting to feel like one of those women that has an implant and it like explodes in your breast. I mean, it was just a very odd feeling. Not, I wouldn't say it hurt. On a pain scale, 2 to 10, 2 out of 10. It wasn't painful, but it's just odd and big, and they're big anyway. So I went to the to have my chemo jab, and the head nurse had a look at it, and she immediately called, because they don't know, you've got so many different departments that do different things, but she called my surgeon, who happened to be in Redditch on that day, which was great. And he said, just send her down. So after my chemo jab, I went down, and he drained it. And I'm telling you, 4 or 5 huge syringes, like about that big. He said, I think I've pulled a pound of weight out of your breast with liquid. And he said, yeah, your lymph system is just not working. The radiotherapy and missing the lymph things, it's just not clearing up. So I asked Dr. Google, and Dr. Google couldn't really give me any information. So I did try. Chris will probably be embarrassed that I'm even putting this online, but when I was pregnant and I stopped breastfeeding, um, one of the nurses said, put cabbage leaves in your bra and that will ease some of the discomfort. So someone had put the same thing for lymphedema, that maybe that would work for lymphedema. It hasn't worked for me. It's been about a week and I've been doing that and it's not working. So I'm going to have it drained again. But I thought I'll give it a try. So I've been stuffing my bra on the one side with cabbage leaves to see if that'll work. And it's just, I know, but what harm is there? It's not expensive. It's not hurting anybody. I knew it probably wouldn't work, but I thought, hey, give it a shot. I'm still doing it though, because you never know. I keep thinking in the back of my mind, maybe I need to give it some time. But I think when the next cabbage runs out, I'll just give that a miss from now on. And really, as far as pain relief, paracetamol or cocodamol, that'll do the trick. And I'm sorry, Americans, you can't get cocodamol over the counter like we can. That's codeine and Tylenol mixed, or paracetamol in this country, which is Tylenol. So you guys can't get that over the counter, but we can't get other things that you can get over the counter, like antibiotic cream, so it's strange, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, that's kind of just the latest. We have been out a little bit. Again, we haven't filmed anything, but we have been out a little bit. We were in Ludlow, and again, rainy, but it was the market day, and so we really wanted to go. We had been many years before, but we wanted to go to the market day. So we went to the market, and it's a lovely little place. It's just beautiful. And we didn't go into Ludlow Castle, but I did go have a look, through the gates and had a look at that. So just absolutely beautiful. And the old buildings, just astounding. Again, Americans just wouldn't know what to make of it if they've never been over here before, because it really is like being in a different country, in an old country. So we were walking around the streets, and it was so funny because I spotted somebody that looked sort of familiar, and I thought, I'm sure he's like a comedian or something. And I looked, and I gave him sort of like that, oh, I know who you are smile. And then he gave me the, yep, it's me smile. Yeah, but I couldn't remember his name, so I didn't say anything. And then I racked my brain, and I was like, I'm sure he was the guy that did Spitting Image, the voiceovers and comedies and stuff. And I was like, oh, Alistair McGowan. And I wikied him, and yeah, he lives in Ludlow. So that was quite funny. So now I'll have to go and stalk him. And I do have to apologize to any of the YouTubers that I met prior to us actually becoming full-time van lifers. I was very much the fangirl. I've lived in this country since 1995. I've been in the UK, but there's still just little bits of me, like my accent. I'm accent impaired. I cannot do a British accent to save my life. But little tiny, and words have encroached in now that I would, Americans wouldn't normally say. So I do say quite a few phrases, and I've been here so long now, I do get all of this stuff, and I do feel like my brain is far more British now than it is American. But because I've lived here for so long. But it's just funny because I'm still a fangirl. I meet YouTubers, it's like, wow, you were on my TV. So I'm really trying to calm that down. We had a wonderful experience when we were at Green Gates, which is on the border of Worcestershire and Warwickshire. We had I looked out the window and I said to Chris, I said, I'm sure that's the guy that we were watching yesterday on Come Along Dear. And then I went into fangirl mode and I completely forgot their names. I called them Come Along Darling, when I met Steven. So I was like, oh, don't be a fangirl. Calm down, breathe. They're just van lifers just like you, just because they were on your TV last night. So that was really quite funny and wonderful experience. Oh my God, they were the most wonderful, really nice guys. I mean, I will say that about everybody that you meet in van life. I think we kind of automatically take life a little bit slower. Not everybody, but most people do. Most van life people do. They just take life a little bit slower, have to think about different decisions than you have to think about when you're on the 9-to-5 wheel. And it's a nice experience, but it seems to, and everybody has a story. We all have our stories. And I think in van life, it's easier to meet those stories and to enjoy those stories from other people and getting tips and it's a really, really lovely uh, it's a lovely life. And of course, we're very lucky because we have been staying on campsites. We haven't paid any more than £22 a night with full electric and toilets and all that kind of stuff. So we're not staying at really, well, we did stay when our first 9 days, we were at a CAMC site, and it was expensive. It was very nice, and it was really close, because we didn't know what we were doing. We were going back and forth to our garage, getting stuff and putting stuff away. And we must have done that for about a month, just like rearranging and trying to figure out how are we going to live in this van. So it was actually quite good that we were there because we were really close to where we keep our stuff. And so that was a major plus. But getting back to Stephen and Dan, really lovely guys. Come along, dear. I mean, I know Dan said on his video that, we could have talked for hours about van life, and it was just really interesting. You really get, I just find when you meet people, you do get a bit more of a connection because you are doing something that most people aren't doing, and that you can't really share as much as you'd like to. Of course I share, and I must bore my poor friends to death, but that aren't van lifers. So of course I do still share, and I share with my family and friends, but um it is different when you're speaking to people that have done it. And of course they've done it a lot longer than we have, and they do mostly off-grid camping. And it's, we just happened to find them the one time they needed they needed a campsite, and they happened to come into ours. How weird was that? It was great. Again, I'm fangirling, sorry. So all the subscribers that we have received and that we've gotten from his channel, thank you so much. I mean, it does mean a lot. I'm just trying to keep now just a little bit of a vlog to go back and look at. And we're not interested in becoming YouTubers. It takes far too long to edit videos. I mean, I know you get used to it after a while, and I've worked on some real doozy computers when I worked. So, it's really odd systems that just took months to get to know. So I know it would come, but it is hard work, when you first initially start, especially we're not Mac people, and I know Macs are easier to use, and we did have a Mac. So on my first video, I did try to do it on my Mac and use iMovie, and it took me longer to figure out how to use the Mac because I'm so used to, I've been using PCs since 1980s when they came out. So it was really, I just couldn't cope with it because I'd have to learn two different things. One, get used to being on the Mac, and two, the photo editing software, it's tough. So those that are out there that do it and do it well, and Dan, come along, dear. Dan does it. He does it really well. Dan and Stephen have it down. They know what they're doing now, and as most people say that start YouTube videos, you don't even want to look back at your first few ones because they're just awful because you're just experimenting. So sorry for the awful videos. I do apologize, but all being well, hopefully we'll all get a bit better. So thank you so much, guys. It was so lovely to meet you, and I hope I didn't fangirl too much. And you were really lovely, just lovely people. It's just amazing. It really is amazing. And there are lots of other YouTubers that helped, as we watched, that helped us get started. And I mean, our journey kind of began in June of 22. I was thinking about it. I was like, I think we need to move into a van. I just think we need to leave this whole rat race and just do it. And Chris was a bit hesitant at the time. He couldn't quite see how it would work. He wanted us to have a base, and I was like, we can't afford, we don't want a base. What's the point in having a flat if you've got somewhere else that you can live? So we went to the Stratford Van Life Festival just for the day because it was close by, and we went for the day, and oh my gosh, the van lifers that were there were great. But what really helped was we went to so this is just a recommendation if you're ever thinking about buying a van, or what kind of van you would want, whether it's to live in or whether it's for holidaying. They have something called the Field of Dreams, and people, not usually, and they have a YouTube area as well, but the Field of Dreams are just people that either live in their vans, have converted their vans, have motorhomes, and they just spend the day showing you what they have. And that's really, really nice, that you can talk to people. How do you do this? How did you do your van? We knew after that day there was no way we were going to convert a van ourselves, because we can't even do DIY in the van. If anything goes wrong, it's going to the shop. That's just the way it is, unless it's something really minor, and we can and YouTube will tell us how to fix it. But basically, and we haven't had any of those kind of real issues yet anyway, which is really good. So we went to the Van Life Festival in June of 2022, started to get a good idea. We then went to a couple of the Warner shows, again, just for the day, because they have a lot of dealers that go, and you can look at the layouts, what you want. We already had a van, to be honest with you. We had a 1989 AutoQuest 270, which initially we were going to try to live in. But once I got ill, I was like, I can't climb upstairs. There's just no way I'm going to be, no, it's not going to work. And also, we just wanted to be more comfortable. So you have to find your layout, and your layout is your layout. Nobody can tell you what's best for you. It's absolutely down to you. And of course, it's down to what type of license you have in the UK, because you can't just go and drive any old van in the UK. I know in America you could probably drive an RV on a regular license, but over here, if you got your license after 1997, then you can only drive up to 3.5 tons. So you can't drive the big giant ones. But on these roads, you wouldn't want to. I'm amazed when I see some of the YouTubers and the roads that they get themselves down and through. And I'm like, nope. Chris and I are like, nope, we're not doing that. Nope. That's why at the moment we've got the car with us. So when we came up to Shropshire, I just followed. It took about an hour and a half, and I just followed behind him until we got here. So now we've got the car. It's great. We can just go anywhere we want. And yesterday, it did take us down or when we went to Ludlow, it did take us down some really, really odd roads that were really small. We're like, thank God we're not in the van, because it takes a long time to get used to that sort of spatial thing. I haven't driven it yet. I will eventually. But my spatial, even before chemo, wasn't very good. So typical female driver. Oh, I shouldn't say that, I know. But yeah, my spatial thing isn't great. So and I certainly don't, neither of us like to really drive at night now. So that's it. But anyway, so hopefully we'll get out and about while we're here and be able to film some of the things. We've had a couple of sunny mornings, but then everything, the rain comes in. It's just, and as I said, I know it's been the same way across the UK, and it's just not fun to film and walk around when you're, it's also awkward filming when you're in public. That's really strange. So people kind of look at you, it's just like, what are you doing? I'm filming a YouTube for my friends. Anyway, I think that's about it for my update. I hope that Chris and I can get on and tell you guys a little bit more about us, so that you can know a little bit more about how we met and things like that. We have been together for like a million years. We got married in 1989. So it has been a while. And I will say, if you're going to live in a van, you really have to be really good friends with your partner or whoever you're living with in your van. You've got to really be close, because it is, there's no place to escape sometimes, which is why Chris is out now. And he usually goes out. I mean, Church Stretton's only 2.5 miles up the road, and we've got an Amazon parcel coming today, so he's gone up there, and it's actually quite good. Let him go. I've gotten the vacuuming done. I've got just purchased, and I don't know why I didn't purchase it before. I just purchased a really cheap little car vac from Amazon, which is probably going to be backwards because it's on my phone, but anyway, I purchased that. That was a good purchase. I usually just sweep out, but you can't really get in the nooks and crannies. So that was a good purchase for the van. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on as I always do, and again, namaste, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all of your support. Everybody again who's been supporting me and sending love, and it's just been great. And the people that we've met, absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoying this journey despite the little bumps in the road. The journey's been, it's been pretty exciting. So even though I don't do very much but sit in the van on many a days, but it's just lovely. And the view, I mean, how can you beat that when you look out your window and you see rolling hills behind you and you've got the glass all around, and it's lovely. Really enjoying it. So that's it. I'm going to probably watch this back and cringe, but other than that, have a really lovely day. Thank you, thank you, thank you again for all of you that have come over. Thank you again to Dan and Stephen. Come along, dear. They're just absolutely wonderful. Really, really nice guys. Quite funny. You know, unfortunately, I don't have the same kind of sense of humor, but you know, the same. I'm not very humorous, is what I should say. So I don't have that ability, but we'll see. You never know. I might learn some tricks along the way. Thanks, guys. Love you lots. Bye. And I'm trying to point to stop this. It's a terrible problem, isn't it, when you try to stop? Oh,